In a small, poor district on the edge of the kingdom, a boy named Rio lives each day with quiet determination. He has nothing, no family, no riches, not even a proper home, but his eyes carry a spark that refuses to fade. Years ago, his mother was taken from him, murdered before his very eyes. That moment carved a wound so deep that even time couldn't heal it. Since then, Rio has lived only for one purpose: revenge. But fate, as always, has plans of its own. One morning, as he wakes in his shabby little hut, a strange memory floods his mind. A train, a city, a life he's never lived. The name Haruto Amakawa echoes in his thoughts, a young man from another world, from modern Japan, whose life ended suddenly in a tragic accident. Somehow, Rio and Haruto's souls have merged, sharing one body, one consciousness. Confused and overwhelmed, Rio begins to remember feelings, faces, and moments that aren't his, yet they feel real, painfully real. And along with those memories comes something else, an immense surge of power. When bandits attack the capital and kidnap a royal princess, Rio, guided by his new instincts and Haruto's lingering sense of justice, steps in. Without hesitation, he dives into the danger and unleashes a force so extraordinary that it shocks even him. Magic, something most people spend years mastering, flows naturally from his hands. With it, he saves the princess from her captors, but his act of bravery doesn't bring the gratitude he expected. Instead, the royal guards arrest him, accusing him of being involved in the kidnapping. For a poor commoner like him, saving a princess is not seen as heroism, it's seen as audacity. As he's dragged before the nobles, the weight of class and cruelty presses down on him. Still, there's something calm and defiant in his eyes now. He's no longer just Rio, the orphan from the slums. Inside him, the mind and heart of Haruto awaken, giving him wisdom beyond his years. As the nobles debate his fate and the whispers of magic spread through the court, the world that once ignored him begins to take notice. Something has changed, something powerful, mysterious, and unstoppable. Rio's life, once defined by loss and vengeance, is about to transform into something far greater. The moment he looks up at the shimmering towers of the royal city, surrounded by both danger and destiny, a quiet thought flickers through his mind. This is only the beginning. After saving the kidnapped princess, Rio finds himself chained and surrounded by the cold eyes of nobles who see him not as a hero, but as a criminal. The air inside the royal courtroom is heavy with arrogance, golden chandeliers above, marble floors below, and a sea of judgmental faces in between. They cannot believe that someone from the slums could wield such powerful magic. And to them, that alone makes him dangerous. As Rio kneels, silent and composed, he can feel the storm of Haruto's emotions within him, the disbelief, the anger, the quiet resolve. He tries to explain that he only wanted to save the princess, but his words are twisted and dismissed. Still, fate intervenes once again. The very girl he rescued, Princess Flora, steps forward. With kindness in her eyes and a soft but firm voice, she defends him in front of the court, insisting that without him, she would be dead. Her words cut through the tension like light breaking through clouds. The nobles grumble, but they cannot argue with royalty. In the end, Rio's sentence is changed. He will not be executed, but neither will he be free. Instead, he's offered a place at the Royal Academy, a school for the gifted and the noble. To most, it's a miracle. To Rio, it feels like a gilded cage. The academy's walls are tall and polished, but the stares from the students are sharp and cold. He's the only commoner among them, and whispers follow him everywhere, about his mysterious magic, his low birth, his strange, quiet nature. Yet Rio remains calm. He studies, he trains, he endures. Nights are the hardest. When the moonlight seeps through the dorm window, Haruto's memories stir again, memories of another world, another life, and a girl he once loved. Sometimes, the echo of that life gives him strength, and sometimes, it only deepens his loneliness. But not everything in the academy is cruel. One day, he meets a young noble girl named Celia, a bright, kind teacher with a gentle heart and an honest smile. Unlike the others, she doesn't treat him like an outcast. She sees the depth in his eyes, the pain behind his silence. Slowly, a quiet bond begins to form between them. With her help, Rio begins to understand his magic and, even more, the strange connection between his soul and Haruto's. The days pass and Rio grows stronger, more confident, yet he never forgets who he is or where he came from. But peace in a place like this never lasts. Behind the Academy's serene facade, the whispers of politics and ambition never stop. And one evening, as the sky turns crimson over the kingdom, Rio learns that his very existence might threaten the balance of power in ways he never imagined. Life at the Royal Academy slowly becomes routine for Rio, though the feeling of belonging still escapes him. Surrounded by nobles who see him as an outsider, he learns to move quietly, blending into the background, just as he always did in the slums. Yet even in silence, his progress doesn't go unnoticed. Celia, his mentor and only true friend, continues to guide him with warmth and patience, amazed by how quickly he absorbs knowledge. His talent with magic and swordsmanship grows beyond expectation, a sign that the power within him, Haruto's memories and Rio's own determination, are beginning to synchronize. Still, whispers follow him wherever he goes. The noble students, jealous of his ability, call him a fraud, claiming his success is a trick or stolen power. Rio ignores them at first, but their taunts grow bolder. One day, a confrontation breaks out. A noble named Albo, unable to bear being outperformed by a commoner, challenges him to a duel in front of the academy. The crowd gathers like hungry wolves, eager to see the peasant boy humiliated. Rio accepts, his calm expression hiding the quiet storm building inside. The match begins and ends almost as soon as it starts. Rio moves like a shadow, disarming his opponent with precision and grace that leave even the teachers speechless. His blade doesn't strike to wound, only to prove a point. The silence that follows is heavier than any applause. For the first time, the nobles see him not as a nuisance, but as something to fear. That victory, however, brings him no joy. Later, as Celia congratulates him, Rio smiles faintly, but his eyes drift to the window. The world outside the academy calls to him, the vast land beyond the city walls, where his mother's memory still lingers. That night, under a sky full of stars, Rio senses it again, a faint pulse of energy deep within his chest, like a heartbeat that doesn't belong entirely to him. Haruto's presence feels stronger now, clearer. Two souls walking the same path, their fates tightly bound. Days pass, but Rio's unease grows. When a mysterious messenger arrives at the academy, whispering rumors of unrest in the kingdom and hints of dark forces stirring in the shadows, Rio can't ignore it. Something in his heart tells him his peaceful days are ending. The world is about to change once more, and this time, he won't be just a spectator. The days at the Royal Academy continue quietly, but Rio's heart grows restless. Though he has found a small corner of peace within its walls, a lingering sense of not belonging follows him wherever he goes. The nobles still whisper behind his back, their envy disguised as laughter, but Rio pays them no mind. He's learned long ago that pride is useless when your purpose lies beyond the reach of others' approval. Celia notices the change in him, how his eyes seem to wander beyond the classroom windows, how his smile has become softer, but distant. She tries to keep him grounded, teaching him new spells, discussing the beauty of mana flow and the mysteries of magic. And while he listens, he can't shake the feeling that his journey here is nearing its end. One afternoon, while training alone in the academy courtyard, Rio suddenly feels a strange resonance inside him, an energy unlike anything he's felt before. The air grows heavy, and for a moment, the world seems to fade. A soft light envelopes him, and he hears a faint voice, calm, ancient, almost divine. The spirit within him has awakened. It reveals itself as Aishia, a being of pure mana, born from the fusion of his soul and the memories of Haruto. Her voice is gentle but filled with power, and though she doesn't fully understand her own existence, she calls Rio her master. Overwhelmed but calm, Rio feels her presence merge seamlessly with his own, like two melodies forming a perfect harmony. With Aishia by his side, his strength surges. His body feels lighter, his senses sharper, and for the first time, he understands what true magical balance feels like. That night, as he looks out across the moonlit academy gardens, Rio realizes that he can no longer stay in this place. His life here, though filled with moments of warmth, is not truly his. He owes Celia gratitude, but his heart is pulled toward something greater, his mother's village, his lost home, and the truth behind her death. Quietly, he writes a farewell letter to Celia, thanking her for her kindness and guidance. He leaves it on her desk, knowing she'll understand even if his words fall short. As dawn breaks, Rio stands at the edge of the city, the wind brushing against his cloak. The royal capital fades behind him, its towers shining gold under the morning sun. Aishia's soft voice echoes in his mind, asking where they'll go next. He answers with a quiet certainty forward. Toward the place where it all began. Toward the past he must finally face. The road stretches endlessly before him, winding through forests touched by sunlight and distant mountain peaks. Rio travels alone now, with only the gentle voice of Aishia accompanying him, an invisible presence that feels both comforting and otherworldly. Together, they cross rivers, small villages, and untamed wilderness, moving further away from the kingdom that once rejected him. Each night, as the campfire crackles beneath a canopy of stars, Rio reflects on how far he's come. He's no longer the frightened boy who once lived in the slums of the capital. His power, sharpened by experience and guided by Aishia, grows with each passing day. Yet strength alone isn't what drives him, it's the longing to uncover the truth about his mother, and the strange fate that binds him to Haruto's past life. When he finally reaches the region where his mother once lived, the air feels different, warmer, familiar, like a whisper from a memory. The villagers eye him curiously, but when he introduces himself as the son of Ayam, the woman who once lived among them, their expressions soften. They remember her kindness, her courage, and how she fled after tragedy struck. From their words, Rio pieces together fragments of his past, the noble family that cast his mother aside, the betrayal that forced her into exile, and the cruel chain of events that ended her life. Each story hits him like a quiet blow, yet his resolve only hardens. He vows not to let her memory fade into dust. After spending a few days among them, Rio helps the villagers repair their homes, hunts monsters in the nearby forest, and protects them from bandits that threaten their peace. For the first time in years, he feels something close to belonging. But even here, fate doesn't let him rest. One evening, as the wind begins to howl through the trees, a group of armed men appears on the outskirts of the village, mercenaries wearing the crest of a nearby noble house. Their leader demands supplies and threatens to take what they want by force. Rio steps forward, calm but unyielding, his cloak fluttering in the wind. The villagers plead for him not to fight, but he knows running won't solve anything. The men laugh, mocking the quiet traveler before them. They don't realize who they're facing or what kind of power lies beneath his gentle demeanor. Aishia's presence flickers beside him, her voice serene but filled with strength. The time for silence has ended. Rio grips his blade, the moon glinting off its edge, and with one swift motion, the night erupts into motion. The battle ends before it even begins. In the blink of an eye, Rio moves through the bandits with the precision of a ghost, his blade singing softly under the moonlight. When silence finally settles, the villagers stare in disbelief. The gentle traveler they'd come to know has revealed the strength of someone who's lived through pain and fire. But Rio doesn't bask in victory. He sheathes his sword quietly, offering a calm reassurance to those around him. There's no pride in what he's done, only relief that no one was harmed. The next morning, as dawn spills golden light across the fields, the villagers thank him with tears in their eyes. They offer him food, gifts, and their blessings, but Rio's heart feels heavy. He knows he can't stay. Protecting them reminded him of his mother, of the world she once believed could be kind, and of the injustices that still remain. Aishia's voice, soft as wind, reminds him that this path he walks is his alone. With a quiet farewell, he leaves the village behind, setting out toward the distant mountains. The journey grows harder. Forests thicken, paths disappear, and strange creatures lurk in the shadows. Yet Rio moves with calm determination, his spirit stronger than ever. Along the way, he encounters a caravan under attack by monsters, nobles, and merchants caught off guard in the wild. Without hesitation, Rio leaps into action. Magic flares around him as he channels Aishia's power, his movements graceful yet fierce. The air hums with energy as the monsters fall one by one until only silence remains. From within the battered carriage steps a young girl dressed in elegant robes, her golden hair shining like sunlight even through the dust of battle. Her name is Flora, a noble with a kind and gentle presence that stands in sharp contrast to the world's cruelty. She looks at Rio not with fear, but with gratitude and curiosity. Despite his quiet nature, something about him draws her in. When her guards insist he accompany them to the capital to be rewarded, Rio hesitates. But before he can decline, Aishia's voice whispers that fate has brought them together for a reason. So, with quiet acceptance, he agrees to travel with them. As the group makes its way toward the city, Rio feels the pull of destiny growing stronger. The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the peaceful journey he once imagined is over. Something far greater awaits beyond the horizon, where power, nobility, and the ghosts of his past are destined to collide once again. The carriage rattles softly along the dirt road, its wheels cutting through the mist of an early morning. Inside, Rio sits quietly across from Princess Flora, the noble girl whose life he saved. She watches him curiously, her eyes full of warmth and questions she's too polite to ask. To her, Rio seems out of place, a man of humble words and modest manners, yet with the aura of someone far greater. Every time he gazes out the window, lost in thought, it feels as though he's looking far beyond the horizon. The guards speak of him in hushed tones, whispering about his strength, his speed, the strange magic he wields. But Rio ignores their chatter. He's used to being an outsider. What matters to him is understanding the purpose behind the mysterious power he now commands and the path that fate keeps forcing him to walk. Days pass and the group finally reaches the capital of the Kingdom of Galark, its white towers gleaming beneath the sun like a city carved from dreams. Flora insists that Rio stay in the royal palace as an honored guest until his reward is prepared. Despite his hesitation, he accepts, intrigued by this new land and the chance to learn about its people. Yet beneath the palace's polished marble and golden halls, Rio feels an old tension stirring. This world of nobles and titles, so familiar, so fragile, reminds him of everything he once escaped. Still, he remains composed, polite, even when the courtiers sneer behind their fans. When he meets Flora's older sister, Princess Christina, she greets him with the grace of royalty, but the sharp intuition of someone who sees through masks. Her questions are measured, her gaze analytical, and Rio senses that she knows more than she lets on. Later that evening, during a quiet dinner, Flora speaks openly about her gratitude. She tells Rio that his courage saved not only her life, but also her faith and kindness. For a brief moment, the walls around him lower. He smiles, a rare, genuine expression that surprises even Aishia. But as the night deepens, Rio's sense of unease grows. From the balcony, he spots cloaked figures moving through the shadows near the palace courtyard. His instincts flare instantly. Something is wrong. Without hesitation, he moves like a whisper through the corridors, his presence unseen. A soft glow of spirit energy flickers in his eyes as he peers into the darkness below, armed assassins, silent and precise, closing in on the royal chambers. The peace of this gilded palace is about to shatter, and once again, Rio finds himself standing at the edge of chaos, caught between fate and choice, ready to draw his blade under the light of a restless moon. The night hangs heavy over the royal palace, silent except for the faint rustle of wind through the garden trees. Rio moves through the shadows like a whisper, his senses sharp and focused. The assassins advance, blades gleaming under the moonlight, unaware that someone far more dangerous watches them. In a single breath, Rio strikes swift, precise, his movements fluid like a dance. Steel meets steel, then silence. When the last attacker falls, he stands over them, calm yet alert, eyes glimmering with a quiet intensity. From the corner of his vision, he notices movement, Princess Flora, peering out from her chamber door, fear and disbelief mixing in her wide eyes. She's seen the truth now. The quiet traveler who once saved her life isn't an ordinary man. He's something far more powerful. The royal guards rush in moments later, but the danger has already passed. Their confusion deepens when they see Rio standing unharmed, surrounded by defeated intruders. Questions swirl through the hall, but Rio only bows his head slightly, saying nothing of how easily he dispatched them. Princess Christina steps forward, her expression unreadable. She studies him in silence, understanding what others cannot. Power like his doesn't belong to a commoner. She thanks him with poise, but her curiosity burns quietly behind her calm demeanor. The next morning, the palace is buzzing with tension. Rumors spread about the assassins, about their true target, about the mysterious man who saved the royal family. Rio, however, avoids attention. He spends his time alone, looking out over the capital from a balcony high above. The city below sparkles with life, yet it feels distant to him. Aishia's soft voice fills the air around him, reminding him that he doesn't belong to any one place, that his path lies beyond these gilded walls. Later that day, Princess Flora approaches him again, her expression conflicted. She wants to thank him properly, but also to understand who he really is. Rio's answers are gentle but vague. He doesn't wish to lie, yet he can't reveal everything. As they talk, he senses the weight of her sincerity. For a brief moment, he feels something familiar, a quiet warmth, like the connection he once shared with his mother. That feeling makes his decision even harder. When night falls again, Rio prepares to leave the palace. He leaves behind a note of gratitude, simple and sincere. As the city sleeps, he walks through the gates without a sound, disappearing into the misty road beyond. His heart is steady, but his thoughts are restless. He's saved lives, earned trust, and touched hearts, yet the world still calls him forward. Somewhere beyond this kingdom lies the truth he's been searching for, and the storm that's destined to find him first. The morning sun breaks through the clouds as Rio travels alone once more, his cloak fluttering gently in the breeze. The roads stretch endlessly ahead, framed by quiet forests and distant hills. It's peaceful, almost too peaceful for someone who carries so many memories from another life. Aishia's voice hums softly in his mind, light and familiar, grounding him amid the solitude. Together, they speak about what lies ahead, finding answers, perhaps even a place to belong. Yet deep down, Rio knows his journey will always lead him where trouble brews. His next destination is a small trading town nestled along the borderlands, alive with the sound of merchants, laughter, and the clinking of coins. He blends into the crowd easily, buying simple supplies and listening to the idle talk of travelers. But one conversation catches his attention, rumors of a nearby kingdom in unrest, of nobles tightening their grip on common folk, of strange forces stirring in the north. It's nothing new, yet something about it feels personal, like the first whisper of a storm that's been following him for years. As evening falls, Rio finds an inn to rest in, its dimly lit interior smelling faintly of wood smoke and tea. The owner, an old woman with a kind smile, welcomes him like family. For a brief moment, he feels normal again, just a traveler stopping for the night. But peace rarely lasts. Later, while walking through the market square under the glow of lanterns, he hears a commotion. A group of armed men surrounds a young girl dressed in ragged clothes. Her silver hair gleams in the firelight, her frightened eyes darting for an escape that doesn't exist. The men accuse her of being a thief, though it's clear they're more interested in her beauty than in justice. Rio steps slow. He doesn't like interfering, not anymore. Yet something in her trembling voice stirs an old instinct, the part of him that refuses to ignore cruelty. Before he realizes it, he's already moved. The moment one of the men grabs her arm, a cold wind surges through the air. In an instant, Rio stands between them, calm but commanding, his eyes glinting with quiet warning. The crowd falls silent. The thugs, too foolish to recognize danger, sneer and draw their weapons. What happens next is over in seconds. A blur of motion, the flash of steel, and then stillness. No one dares breathe until Rio lowers his hand and turns to the girl, offering her a reassuring nod. She's shaking, her lips forming a faint, "Thank you." Her name is Latifa, a beast-skin girl whose story is written in scars and silence. As they leave the square together, Rio senses that saving her will change more than just her fate, it will shape his own. The night air feels heavier now, the stars above sharp and bright. Somewhere in the distance, something watches, waiting for the next move. The quiet forest hums with life as Rio walks beside Latifa, the young bee-skin girl he rescued the night before. The air is cool, the sunlight filtered through thick green leaves, and for the first time in what feels like forever, he's not alone. Latifa trails a few steps behind, her tail twitching nervously, her golden eyes flicking up to him, and then away again. She barely speaks, but her gratitude is clear in the way she clings to the safety his presence brings. Rio, ever observant, keeps his tone soft when he speaks to her, asking gentle questions, never pressing too hard. Bit by bit, she begins to open up. Between hesitant words, he learns of her past, of cruel humans who captured her, of a life spent as property, and of the fear that shaped every heartbeat. Her story burns quietly inside him, stirring the anger he tries so hard to suppress. But instead of letting it consume him, he channels it into something else, protection. That night, as the two rest beneath a wide oak tree, Rio prepares a small fire. Latifa watches him cook, the smell of roasted meat making her tail wag unconsciously. When he offers her food, her eyes shimmer with a mix of disbelief and warmth. It's a simple moment, one meal shared between two lost souls, but it feels profound. For once, she laughs, a soft, fragile sound that catches Rio off guard. It's been so long since he's heard something that pure. Over the following days, the tension between them fades. Latifa starts to smile more, sometimes teasing him shyly, and Aisha's spirit occasionally joins in, her ethereal presence curious, but kind. The small group feels like an odd little family stitched together by chance. Still, Rio knows this peace can't last. One morning, he senses something wrong, the birds have gone silent, and the forest's calm has turned heavy. His instincts sharpen instantly. Before Latifa can ask what's wrong, a shadow bursts through the trees, fast, silent, lethal. An assassin? No, something worse. The figure moves with precision, striking at Rio with inhuman speed. Their blades clash, sparks flying between them. Latifa freezes, watching as the quiet man who saved her becomes a blur of motion and power. When the attacker speaks, Rio catches a familiar accent, a tone that doesn't belong to this world. For a split second, realization hits him. This isn't just an ambush. It's a message. As he disarms the figure and they retreat into the woods, Rio stands still, heart pounding. Whoever sent that assassin knew his name. And that means the ghosts of his past, both from this world and the one before, are finally catching up. The path ahead won't be quiet anymore. The morning mist clings to the mountains as Rio and Latifa continue their quiet journey, their footsteps soft on the forest path. The world feels calm again, almost deceptively so, after the fight that had shaken the peace of their travels. Latifa walks beside him now, no longer hiding behind his shadow. Her laughter comes more easily, and Rio, though still reserved, allows himself small smiles in return. He can sense how much she's grown since that frightened girl he first met, and something about her innocence brings a warmth he thought he'd forgotten. When they reach a hidden valley blanketed in silver mist, Rio senses something unusual, a faint magical presence, serene and ancient. Following it leads them to a vast village unlike any other, hidden deep within the mountains. The air hums with energy, and the people who appear from between the trees aren't human. Long ears, glowing eyes, and an aura of quiet strength. Elves. The village elders approach them cautiously, their expressions guarded, but Latifah's presence softens their suspicion. It turns out she's known here. This place is her true home, the hidden settlement of her kin, where she had once lived before being taken by slavers. The reunion is tender and emotional. Her old friends rush to her side, tears glimmering as they embrace her. Rio watches silently from a distance, his chest tightening with an emotion he doesn't quite understand. Happiness for her, yes, but also something like longing. When the elder of the village invites him to stay, Rio politely accepts, and for a while, life slows down. The elves welcome him gradually, intrigued by his magic and calm nature. Children follow him curiously, and even the wary warriors of the tribe begin to respect him after witnessing his abilities. In this tranquil haven, Rio finds something rare, belonging. Days pass in peace. He helps rebuild parts of the settlement, studies the elves' ancient runes, and even teaches the younger ones small tricks of spirit magic. Latifah, always nearby, beams with joy, her laughter echoing through the trees. It feels almost like a dream, a fragile happiness carved out of chaos. But even dreams can't last forever. One evening, as the sunset bleeds gold over the treetops, Rio stands on the edge of the village, watching the horizon. He senses a familiar stirring in the air, a shift, faint but unmistakable. Aishia appears beside him, her voice quiet but firm. Something has changed beyond the mountains, a ripple in the balance of the world. The peace he's found here, the family he's helped restore, all of it feels suddenly temporary. And though Rio doesn't say it aloud, he knows deep down, this calm before the storm won't last much longer. The wind whispers through the elven forest as Rio stands at the edge of the hidden village, watching the sunrise filter through the trees. Weeks have passed since he arrived, and in that time, life has taken on a peaceful rhythm he never thought he'd experience again. The sound of laughter, the scent of food being cooked, and the feeling of belonging. It's all so simple, yet so distant from the life he once knew. Latifah moves freely now, her heart lighter, her smile brighter. She's found her place again among her people, but she still looks to Rio with a quiet affection, one that words can't quite capture. For her, he isn't just a savior, he's the reason she could smile again. And for Rio, though he doesn't admit it, she's become something precious too. But even in peace, his mind never rests. Every night, when the stars bloom above the treetops, he feels the pull of something beyond these mountains, a calling, soft yet undeniable. His past and his purpose remain unresolved, and deep down, he knows this tranquility is only temporary. One evening, he meets with the elder of the elves beneath the sacred tree, its roots glowing faintly with spirit energy. The elder speaks of balance, of destiny, and of how the world outside their sanctuary grows restless. They can sense shifts in the flow of mana, as if something ancient is awakening. The elder looks at Rio knowingly, as though he can see the truth hidden within him, the foreign soul, the burden of another life, the quiet strength he carries like a blade sheathed in calm. "You have a path beyond this place," the elder tells him, "one that only you can walk." Those words linger in his mind long after the meeting ends. The next morning, Rio takes a long walk through the village. The children wave at him, Latifah greets him with her usual cheer, and yet everything feels tinged with farewell. That night, under the starlit sky, he stands outside the village gate. Latifah finds him there, clutching a small charm she made for him, woven threads of red and gold. Her voice trembles as she asks if he's leaving. He nods softly. She doesn't try to stop him. She knows that look in his eyes. Instead, she hugs him tightly, whispering a thank you that says more than any goodbye could. As dawn breaks, Rio steps beyond the barrier that guards the elven forest, the world stretching out vast and uncertain before him. Aishia's spirit glimmers faintly beside him, serene and strong. The road ahead is unknown, but he walks forward without hesitation. Because somewhere out there, beyond kingdoms and borders, lies the answer he's been chasing since the day his two lives became one. And that's the end of the summary of this wonderful anime. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, as it helps and motivates me to keep creating more content for you. See you soon.